Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome to our show. We have gathered together from the cosmic reaches of the multiverse, two of the nerdiest geeks to be found. We proudly present the Professor and her geeky girlness herself, Ace. And now it's time. Geeky KOOL Presents Professor and Ace.
Hey everybody, welcome to Geeky KOOL Presents Professor and Ace, episode 79. And I am very proud to have a great cast of people here with me today. And this is a very special Geeky KOOL Presents because we're going to be talking about our good friend David Faught and his art and what he meant to us, and just wanted to pay tribute to him after he passed away just over a week ago. So that's what we're going to do. Up here at the top next to me, that right there, of course, is Keith from Pop Culture Minefield and many other things. Elena, a little further over, our amazing writer, creator, and our co-first time guest on the show with David, in fact. So we're so happy to have you with Elena. Down below, we've got Nate, one of our great artist friends here in Springfield also. And over on the other side is Tom, the author, creator, owner of Big Dog Inc. Publishing, where David was often a cover artist. So thank you all for joining us. It's not the happiest occasion to come in and say our friend passed away, but we wanted to take some time to celebrate the happiness that we had with David, some of his art, some of the stories we had with David. So I've got some stuff we can throw up, or we can just tell some stories and we'll get to the pictures.
Well, I was just going to point out that, and it was something, Larry, that you and I were talking about, that some of us met at the same time.
Yeah.
That's where we met David, was the first library con here in Springfield. And they stuck all of us in a room together. I actually was feeling really bad for you guys being stuck there with me. I don't sit still very well.
Well, you can consider, especially with your manager.
Right. I should have brought her to talk too, but no. And then we were all in that room together for that whole day.
Yeah,
and
it was a whole day of it. Yeah.
It just, I don't know. We all just sort of clicked and fell in and I've stayed in contact, I think, with all of you guys since then, and just made some amazing memories since then. You guys, just a room full of talent. It made me so happy.
Yeah, I remember that very fondly also. That was a great time. I was really starting to get Geeky KOOL going at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing it a little bit, and I was just happy to be amongst other creatives. And then I was just amazed at your guys' art and writing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if my site can ever do just an ounce of what these guys have, I'll be super excited. So,
absolutely. I actually got in on the game, and I didn't realize just how deep David's story went by the time I met him. I think I only met him in 2014. Yeah. He and Adam McLaughlin did a piece for me. It was this Valkyrie woman riding a mammoth, being the mammoth guy. That was it was such a cool thing. And I showed up at VisionCon. I think it was the first year that they moved it to Branson.
Yeah.
And I walk in and I'm like, hi, I'm just here to pick up a commission. And they just escorted me through all the way to David. And they were so nice and so kind. And then the two of them, and I knew Adam since fifth grade. We went to elementary school together years before. So it was cool to reconnect with him. They're like, yeah, we have some ideas. Come up to the hotel room. I just got to hang out with him. And I just looked up to David so much that whenever it came time for me to release Potbelly Mammoth, he was one of the first people in there to really hey, let me show you around, and I don't know, it took for every year after that, it was everything that I needed, or any support that I needed. It was David and Christy both that that I leaned on the hardest. And I have this whole thesis story about it, but then there was that threshold was crossed. He came out all the way out to Walnut Grove because that's where they were from. but he came out with my father-in-law for a birthday party. Gave me a Potbelly Mammoth happy birthday image like they did with a marker, which is wow.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so great.
I keep it close. And I don't know, it was just you couldn't find anybody who was more like talented and more just had his hands in so many different things.
Yes.
But was still so influential to you as an individual, made you feel like you were a cool kid and that what you're doing was important. And I don't know, this is something that I'll try my best to pass on, you know.
Yeah, I definitely felt that with David also, you know, me doing something completely different than what he was doing and me having no artistic ability at all. He's like, man, what you're doing is cool. It's important. This is amazing. You need to keep doing this. And I'm like, really? Because I thought I was just being stupid over here. I don't know. But he was super encouraging and always there. You know, we did a few different written interviews with him over the years.
Yeah.
And of course, like I said, he was one of our first co-guests here on Geeky KOOL Presents. So, you know, he was very influential. And a lot of times I don't think he realized how important he was to the area and to the encouragement of people trying to do something creative.
Yeah. When I went
go ahead.
No, when I took my art full time, you know, we went and did a bunch of IMAX movie things, and I've never seen more movies in my life in those 3 years. and he had me he says, no, come on. I already set it up. Let's go. Like, he was so open to just bring anybody he could in. And then I learned from watching him do these events, complete strangers, like how to talk to people and find out and very, very quickly what's most important to them and do commissions for them quickly and to, you know, just produce not just good art, but like just an experience for people. And I learned a lot from him, and we were proud to have him in our season 1 of Pen Click. He was there for like over half the season. Like a lot of people and a lot of artists in the scene, on a local level, even probably far beyond that, always remember that their like beginnings started with David. Like, David was involved in probably like the foundation of a lot of major productions and just artist careers that people are just kind of reflecting on.
Yeah, Dave was always he's just pure creative energy, like just all the time. And even beyond the creative energy of it, like of himself, like I want to draw, I want to make stuff, whatever. He was always the encouragement energy too. Whatever he saw, whenever he saw people making their own new books, you know, whatever it is, it's his tagline. It's hell yeah. You know, that was always Dave. Oh, hell yeah. Do that, make that, you know, don't stop, keep going. And he loved being part of whatever he was allowed to be a part of, you know, when he was doing covers for people or whatever. I love hearing the stories that he did stuff down locally in your area. That's all stuff that is outside of my wheelhouse. Cause basically, you know, he and I followed each other basically through social media, cause we weren't really close. We just kind of ran into each other at a random con. But you know, I've been watching his art for a while, and there was a point where he would talk about like I know I'm not quite there. I'm not really good enough for doing covers yet or whatever. And I posted one of those things that he posted, because I don't remember what it was, but it was something that I really liked, something horror related, of course, because that's what he does. And I was like, look, man, I think you're closer than you realize. And then it wasn't long after that I was like, let's go. I mean, I got things for you to do. I think this is going to land. I've got horror things for you. It's going to land in your wheelhouse. You know, let's see what happens and what goes. And he immediately was like, hell yeah. And you know, let's do this. So even on this first cover that he did for Princess vs. Zombies, it was, and I've talked about this on shows, and he's really great about it. I was like, I put him through the ringer, because it was like, here's the sketch. I'm like, fix this, fix that, fix this, fix that. Go here, turn that. This car's too small. This, that, the other thing. And he was awesome. He was like, go, tell me what I need to do. Like, tell me how to make this awesome. And he took all the notes. Never a minute of, dude, isn't this enough? Like, he was always like, tell me how to make this awesome. And it came out and it was freaking awesome. And since then, we had a great relationship as far as friends and, as just art and publisher. And the piece I'm always backwards here. The piece that's behind me, I think this was the third one that he did for us. And so this was for a Penny for Your Soul Showgirls thing. He got to do the spirit fingers thing. That actually won an award for best pinup for, I think it was 2020. He won the award for that. So and immediately in pure Dave fashion, he's like, well, it was Elenia, she did those colors, she made it awesome. And I'm like, come on, man, it's all teamwork. You had to put the lines down for her to do anything with it. So but that was Dave. Nah, it wasn't really, it's all Elenia. So yeah, it's his creativity was boundless. But he never believed that he was ready for prime time.
Right.
He was always so proud of the work that he was doing with you, Tom. And it was always at the top of his list of things whenever we would have a bump or like a moment for people to talk about what they're up to and what they're doing in our shows. He was always talking about his work with doing covers and the team. And it was just, and he's got a pretty extensive list of projects he's been at, but he always loved working and just collaborating with other artists and the work he was doing with you, man. I think he finally felt like he was finding his stride.
Right.
It was absolute like imposter syndrome.
Oh, 100%.
And it was just hard for us to be like, dude, hell yeah. Keep going.
Yeah.
That's all we could do was just like, dude, we don't know what to tell you now. Like
we'd be at conventions and he'd be like, I draw boobs. And I'm like, but it's so much more. Like,
and the boobs are good, but you draw
good,
really well. Yeah. But
no,
and Pumpkinhead and no boobs. No boobs on Pumpkinhead.
So Tom, I'll tell you. So David contacted me right after you guys that you'd offered him doing the cover, and he's like, "Dude, I see that you're friends with Tom." I'm like, "Well, I've met Tom a few times at conventions. He's a really cool guy. He's let me talk to him about the process of comic books several times. I really think Tom's and I love Tom's comics." He goes, "He's gonna let me draw covers. I can't believe he's gonna do that. Can you believe he's gonna let me do this?" I'm like, "Well, Dave, you're awesome, but I'm not that good." David, Tom wants you. That means you're awesome because he's got all these other artists. They're also amazing, but you're right there with him, and you're not losing anything to those guys. You are right there, and it was just really kind of taking me back because he did have that whole imposter syndrome going on. Like, David, your art's amazing. Everybody tells you it's amazing, and Tom wants you. So come on, you got this. You've got this so much. But he was very proud of it.
Yeah, very proud. And it's awesome to actually meet you. I haven't actually met you in person myself. And I've heard a lot about you. And if anything, like, thanks for being such a supporter of him. Like I said, like 100%. The relationship you had, it turned him around on his progression. He felt like he was spinning his wheels a lot. Like, we've had a lot of time in the car driving back and forth to IMAX and brand, it's a long car ride. And it's just like, he was always there for me, but I had nothing profound to give him. Mm-hmm. And he just like, I just wish there was something that I could show you to prove that you're doing the right thing. And then this job landed with you doing covers, and he was just like, it was his wheelhouse. He wasn't being ridiculed. He was being celebrated for something that he loved himself about, because he softened the blow. Yeah.
He was always, Dave was amazing, just an amazing human being all the way around. And he was always trying to be there for his friends. He wanted to be there, be supportive, and he was always down on himself. So I know that there were several times when he was starting to give up. And Tom, honestly, I just what Nate was saying is that when he started working with you, it was kind of like he'd hit this lull, and all of a sudden he's like, wait, maybe I can keep doing art. Maybe I should keep doing this.
Yeah.
And he was just investing in himself and starting to believe in himself, which was just amazing. But no, Dave was just so sweet all the way around and so good at what he did. And I always felt like he was so giving just of himself.
Yeah.
I do want to say Christy was wanting to be here with us today. They ended up having some things going on for tonight. So she did say that she really appreciated us all getting together and wish she could join us. So hopefully we'll have her on some of the time. But did want to point that out that Christy David's sister, who's a very integral part of his story, did send along her wishes. Keith, I interrupted you. Go ahead, sir.
Oh no, there's not much more I can add. I mean, from the moment that I met him, he was always larger than life and exceedingly cool. I will say this, though. I first saw his artwork on DeviantArt. I was working with VisionCon, and we were looking for guests. And I came upon one of his pieces and was excited that he was someone that was in Missouri,
right?
Who we could get for the convention. That would be great, and so it was just it was something that I saw his work and I looked at it and I was just like, this is really good stuff. He's from around here. I'm surprised I never heard of him. So I emailed him and he got back with me, and we met the night before at what we used to have these dinners for all the guests that would be on Thursday night before Friday. And David showed up with this amazing looking redhead. And just sunglasses, head to toe in black. I mean, he just looked like he owned that place, man.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, hell yeah. I can hang with this guy. And I got to tell you, talking to him, and it turns out he was just he was the epitome of being the nerd in the room.
Right.
Okay.
100%.
I mean,
100%.
Oh, go ahead. But he was like a big kid in all the nicest ways. And I was just being friends with him was probably one of the easiest relationships I have ever had.
Right.
He just made it. It was effortless with him. And if you ever needed a charge, if you ever needed to just feel good about yourself, you hang with him.
Yeah.
You spend 5 minutes getting your David charge, and you're good. You know? And I had to get that, and my proverbial bear hug. But I'm gonna miss him so much.
Yes.
Doing conventions is not gonna be the same without at least seeing him.
Right.
But I'm grateful for the time that I got. Doesn't seem to be enough.
Right.
But when is it ever really enough? But that's all I got to say. I'm gonna miss him.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were at the Alamo seeing a movie and my wife and I, we went the long way down that hallway that goes in front of the bar on the other side on the back way, just because that's where we used to set up our tables.
Yeah. And
we just hang out with kids during Marvel movies. And I don't know, that hallway never, because it had been since before COVID that we'd even been to a movie.
Right.
And it was the only time I was there was to do those events. So that hallway felt so damn empty, there was so much stuff going on, and he was surrounded. He wasn't even set up. He wasn't even sitting down. and he already had kids and really just adults doing entire family pieces. You know, it's like he was getting he had a stack of of little scrawlings of what kids wanted on the back of before he could even sit down. And it's I don't know, it's just been a while since I even been to the theater, and let alone how big. Like this hallway seems a lot bigger than I remember.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. No, I think along with Keith about conventions. So I decided to do coloring pages for my first book. And so, of course, I hit up the guys that were in that room with me. Nate did a piece for me too. And Dave's like, okay, what do you want? And I was like, well, I'm going to let you pick because I want this to be a way to encourage you. And I sent him some scenes. Dude knocked out 3 pictures. And I was like, that's not what I thank you.
Exactly.
The cost of print has gone up.
I was like, oh, awesome. And then one of the things that I always did with those pages is be like, okay, I would see which of the guys were at the conventions with me, and I had their names always on the bottom. And I was like, here, this is where they're at. Go, they're over there and down there.
I remember that year. Yeah, that was
right.
I was told to give this to you. I'm like,
and I did that for all of the guys, and Dave was just so excited.
Yeah,
he was just like, oh no. And I'm like, Dave, honestly, I had this problem with Nate too. Where I was like, here, let me give you money. And he's like, pfft.
Oh yeah, that sounds like something we do. Yeah.
And I was like, let me give you money. You did work. I want to pay you. Right. All right. Then I just called Christy. It was fine.
If I got it, honestly, I was just happy to be a part of things. And I think that was something that I absorbed from David.
Oh yeah.
He was just excited to be involved. And I don't know, he's one of those trendsetters that he just wanted to be at the beginning of things and watch it grow. And
yeah.
And it's just like after so many years, though, you can't help but wonder what your own worth is worth. You know, like, well,
yes.
Where am I going to go? And again, that brings us back to you, Tom. You just finding that stride. Like, we can't follow you, man. You've hit another level that we, thanks for being involved with us, but and it's just so unfortunate to see that he finally got that footing that he was looking for and that he deserved, and then the world got flipped upside down.
Right.
Yeah.
The last time I got to talk to David, and I talked to him via Skype, we were talking about, life and everything else. And he's like, man, as soon as this COVID crap is over, we're having this massive party at my house. I'm inviting y'all. And we'll all bring food and drink. And we're going to, I'm like, dude, that sounds awesome. And then I'm like, I hate that never got to happen for him.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, it was something that he was just super excited about. Then he got COVID. And then the diagnosis of cancer, and it's just sad that he didn't get to experience the after COVID, and getting back together with his friends, which is all he really wanted to do. Let's get back together. Let's have a party. Let's enjoy each other. Because damn, I've missed conventions. Yeah, me too, David.
Absolutely.
Well, there's nothing stopping us from doing that when VisionCon starts again.
No, right. Well, VisionCon's a local convention, Tom. Just so you know, it's happening here in 3 weeks. 2.5 weeks. 2.5 weeks.
2.5 weeks.
So I agree, guys. Most definitely, let's get together and have a bite to eat and have a drink for David.
Have a drink for David and just be in the moment. And absorb. Agreed. Take a moment to absorb everything on his behalf. To try to see things the way that he saw them for just a moment.
Yeah.
It's all positive when you do something like that. So
I agree.
Well, listen, I do have to go. It's been great to sit here and remember David he was he was just a great dude.
He was.
That's all I can say. He's
Yeah.
just a great dude.
Yeah.
So
Thank
Awesome
you, Keith,
seeing
for
you,
joining us, my friend. For those that are
My
watching
pleasure.
Keith, Pop Culture Minefield, check them out on YouTube and all the social medias. Several
Yes.
different shows going on during the week.
I know it seems like we keep increasing. I keep making fun of Gary that maybe
That's
He's
going to be a
trying to
full-time gig before you know
have
it.
us
You guys are going to
do
be
every
making-
day of the week. And look, all you got to do is just our show on Thursday, and then we have the Scoop Zone on Thursday, and then we have TGIF on Friday, and then we have our Saturday morning show.
Mhm.
So that's it for now. So you guys
Awesome
take
to see you,
care.
man. Take care. Be
Thanks,
safe.
Keith.
It was good to see you, Keith.
We do have a comment here from one of our people watching, from Jesse. Jesse, we thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, David was a great guy. I don't know if you had a chance to meet him, Jesse, but David was amazing. So, but thank you for watching with us. Well, let me throw up some pictures of David and also some of his artwork real quick. And of course, Tom's got one of the great pieces David had behind him there for those that didn't catch that earlier. But let me throw these up here as soon as I can find that. So, and of course, there's David with the Drifter comic and the star of the Drifter web series. And he drew that comic for them. I know Brittany was hoping to be here to talk about the Drifter comic and all of her fun interactions with David. But I know he was very proud to do that for them and loved that. So, and of course, here's the scene.
Throw that back real quick.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
This is one of the most interesting things, and I don't know what kind of progression we'll have here as far as old pictures or whatever, but watching Dave's hair just change and change. Like even when we did our movie shows, like throughout the show, from the beginning of the show to the end of the show, his hair would just like morph into different shapes.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. No, that's
Oh
the
my
thing.
gosh.
It fans in different ways. His shirts got lighter and his chops got shorter over time,
Yeah.
but his hair would just do whatever it wanted. And
Right.
So, and I don't necessarily have them in order of when
Sure.
time-wise, but so we can make comments. There's a picture. Anybody that's been to a convention with David will recognize this. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, there we go. There it
Oh,
is.
yeah.
Him and Christy sitting there.
yeah,
He's got his art book open. She's sitting there going, "Where are the paying customers? Give me the paying customers. Do you want something? I don't care." Yeah. Her giving him a hard time constantly was some of the best fun. Because you could just see it's like, I'm the sister, I'm allowed.
Right.
yeah. And she was also his manager, you know.
Yeah, right, exactly. That's why I'm like, that's why she's like, where are the paying customers? Get them here. Get them from the
His
table. That's your
wrangler.
paying.
And and I mean, from what I understand, like in the last moments that she had to talk with him, like she's like, "Are you okay? Are you doing okay? Do you need anything?" And they're like putting stuff down his throat, and they're like, he's in the worst position that any of us could imagine, and he's still rolling his eyes at her. They but he's rolling, and she knows exactly what that is. She's just giving him crap, you know, or he's just giving her crap, and he just thumbs up all the time. Are you going to be okay? Are you going to come back from this? He goes, rolling his eyes. Like, so he went out like he lived. He was giving his sister crap and giving her hell and just being sarcastic without words.
That's I did not know the ending story there. That's really interesting. But
it sounds horrible, but it's just, at the same time, like
it's so
brushing it off like it's
So
you know, like she's still like badgering him, trying to take care of him.
Right.
And Christy, you know, she understood it all. I mean,
right.
They were. She told me, she was like, they were just giving it to each other back and forth.
Oh yeah,
you know,
always
right till the end. So,
well, and here's another picture of them together.
Oh yeah.
Check out his hair there.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I can't stop looking at his hair now.
Yeah, somebody brought that little thing to Alamo, and that thing got passed around like. Oh my gosh, it was so tiny, but that's full grown. That, by the way, that animal, that dog was full grown.
I didn't know rats got that big.
Yeah.
Here's a picture of David. I mean, that's a typical picture of David right there.
I don't know what to do with my face. So
yeah,
right.
exactly. Right, exactly. What am I doing here? What's going on? So, all right. So wanted to throw up some of his artwork also that we can hopefully see a little bit to give people an example of the amazing art that David had. So this is one of him at a convention. Yeah. Look at that. He's just so happy with drawing all the Batman characters there. And he just like, look, I got it. And,
he had such a distinct style.
Like, he did. Yes.
It was so Dave. And anything that you saw that he did, they'd be like, I know who did that.
Right,
yes.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and a quick story. So my first experience with David's art was at a different St. Louis convention. It wasn't at Wizard World. It was at a different convention St. Louis had. And I met this guy who created his own comic book, and he's telling me all that. He's very excited about it. Really nice guy. And it's just crazy idea of a guy with a guitar head. And I'm like, oh, okay. And he's trying to sell me on it. And he's like, why don't you take a copy and look over it and then review it for me? And I'm like, okay, I'm happy to. I will definitely review it. So I took the copy, and I remember critiquing it, going, I hate critiquing it because the writing lacked, but the art was amazing. Like, who is this artist? Who's this David Faught? And I got looking, I'm like, he's from Springfield. Well, I got to get to know this guy. Like 2 years later, then I finally get to introduce to him at LibraryCon. But I was a fan of his art because I'm like, this is the saving grace. And so I wrote my review and said, here's some problems with the story, but the art is amazing. And so the guy went and changed everything that I had critiqued. But of course, it still had David's art. And so he gave me a second copy. The second copy was much better, because it was better written and paced and everything else. But David's art still shone through. So it was pretty funny. Because I'm like, David, you can even make a guy with a blue guitar head look really cool. So yeah.
Well, we joked that he liked to draw boobs, or he joked, I draw boobs, like whenever he was, self-deprecating. But there are times where it's just like, and no matter what, people liked him drawing boobs. Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't matter what he drew. Like, and I'm just out the comic side as well, but it's like his artwork was everywhere. It's like once you kind of tune into his style, like you see him everywhere. Every comic shop has his dude. Like,
yes, they do.
On the glass of the outside the shop, I think every shop here in town has something of his on the wall or on the glass.
I've got right back here framed one of his posters from Free Comic Book Day.
Right.
I've got his calendar up here that he did, and he couldn't believe people would buy his calendar. I'm like, David, you have 12 David Faught pictures in here. Of course I want that.
Right.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want that? Because that's a really cool calendar. And so the calendar has been up since I bought it. However long ago that was, like 8 years ago or something. So, and I've got some other David work around in my office here too, because it's just so amazing. And I don't think he realized how important that was to comic book shops and to people that collected comic book stuff, that his art just resonated so much. So this was from Brittany. Brittany had him draw had her with Buffy.
That's right.
Yeah, and there's of course the black and white, and then the color that did with it. But that's such a cool thing, and that means the world of Brittany. Brittany just that is like her go-to piece of art right there. And our friend Chris Wilson. He started playing banjo for whatever reason. He picked up banjo, but he wanted to make it his own. So he's like, "Hey, Dave, can you draw me Wonder Woman for my banjo? Can you put it on the?" And I'm like, and so this is what David did. And I'm like, man, that's amazing that you can do that on a banjo case. Yeah.
He just looks so smug. Like, what's up?
I know Dave was talking to me once. Me and Dave talked all the time. And he was really upset. And because he's like, Elena, all these people are saying that all I do is draw boobs, and that it's they're getting on to me and they're saying that
Yeah.
I'm degrading and things like that. He's like, am I degrading? I was like, dude, if you were degrading, we wouldn't be friends.
Right.
Like all
Yeah.
of the women, I don't care how much clothes they were wearing or not wearing, but they all had this strength to them. And I was like, Dave, it's like you're the opposite of
Right.
degrading. Like you always show that strength in everything that you're doing. And that banjo was that look on the face that was just perfect.
It's so easy to assume with like, because you hear a lot of horror stories about illustrators or photographers taking advantage of people, and it's easy to assume that, you know, David, he lives, you know, like in the pretty much by himself with he and his sister. All he does is draw. He's, you know, that's all anybody knows of him is that's all, you know, they don't know any of his story or anything. He just does art, and it's just easy to assume that, you know, and I remember those conversations too, like even with you and I talked about it, actually was like, you get to see the relationship he had with the people that like they came to him, you know, these women came to him like any photographer because they trusted him.
Right.
And, you know, and oftentimes he didn't come directly in contact with a lot of them. They were like, hey, here's a safe place. You can send me whatever images you want me to have as reference. Like there was a very professional way that he went about it. And
he was so like for all the models and any of them that have worked with him, every one of them would say he was respectful. He was, they didn't feel degraded at all. And they felt this strength because of it and felt empowered. And it just...
Well, I have some friends that run Rumors here in Springfield. It's a gentleman's club, you know. And I remember whenever I first got to hang out with them while they were working, just go and hang out behind the bar. I'm walking around and I'm seeing posters and I'm seeing the coasters. I'm seeing T-shirts of the staff. I'm seeing the back wall in the men's bathroom, and I take pictures of all of these. And you know, Nate, the guy that runs the bar, he says, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "It's okay. I know the guy." And I sent him.
It's okay.
Which I should have thought otherwise. I wasn't taking pictures of the girls. I was just taking pictures of the coaster and the wall. And I sent it. I was like, "I found you, David." He says, "Holy crap! You're after that like 2 years ago. What? It's 3 years in it. Like, let them know if." And so Nate was like, "Dude, you can't do that." I'm like, "Well, David says if you want more, he's got more. That if you want to update your stuff, like, oh." Okay.
Oh, it's okay.
Like, you couldn't go anywhere without finding something of his, and even if it was boobs, who cares? People loved it. People valued it.
Right.
Yes, and it made him happy. So
I never have seen an interaction of his with any of his models that they didn't just love David. They thought the world of David. Most of them treated him like a big brother.
Yes.
And so, I mean, I'm looking at this going, well, how in the world? Just ask the models if they feel degraded. Because I had that conversation with him also. I mean, he was worried about that. That was something that really brought him down pretty hard there for a while. It was like, man, people are all on to me because of the boobs, and I'm not trying to do anything wrong. I'm just drawing the human form, and it's beautiful, and I want them to see the beauty that I see, and I'm not trying to be creepy. I'm like, dude, you're not. Don't just it's okay. It's okay for them to be wrong about this, and you can be right. So
and you can enjoy it. God forbid if you actually enjoy the female form.
Yes.
You're just better at it than I am, so that's not my
Well, and really all that means is that what he was doing was reaching beyond its original intent. Which is good. I mean, that means that whatever it was that he was doing that they were having a problem with, it means that stuff had jumped out of the box, and was reaching a different audience, which is fantastic.
And it was everywhere. I think people were just surprised to see how much of it was they found. Like when they started paying attention, and it's like his style was on their radar. Like it's like, oh my gosh, he's everywhere, and it's just like, yeah, that should be a sign that it's okay. Calm down.
And he did everything.
Right.
Yes.
Like I was going to say earlier, my son has stuff that David did on his walls. Then I realized we were talking about boobs, but
it's different.
It's different. No, David did a piece that complemented a piece that you did for Devlin. And you did one of a picture of my son jumping on a xenomorph alien.
Oh yeah, the bear
bouncing
hug.
on it. And then David did one of my son sneaking up on a predator. And he
Yes.
had so much. I wish that I'd found I looked everywhere, Larry. I couldn't find the picture to send to you. And my son was at work, so I couldn't get it to you today.
Yeah.
That's all right. Yeah.
But
yeah, I've seen that picture.
Dave
I've seen
loved
that
it
one.
so
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
He had so much fun with it. And like he spent way more time than I was like, but that's no, it's okay. You could just do. He's like, no. And then I did this, and
Yeah.
he did Dave.
I know it was first year library con. I brought my nephew with me, Nick. Or it might have been second year, but I brought my nephew Nick. He was 6, maybe 7 at the time, and he was a huge horror movie buff. Like he and his papa would watch very adult movies as far as like gore and gruesome stuff, and he loved it. He was the kid that was like at 6 years old knew all the actors.
Right.
He only did this scene so she could do that movie, and like just fun facts about why people die the way they do and all that. And it's just fascinating, and his absolute favorite was Pumpkinhead. And David caught wind, and there's pictures that whenever we were talking about it on Facebook, whenever he passed, she was one of the first people to jump into the conversation and just share a whole album that she saved of pictures.
Wow.
From 2015, 2017 of little Nick sitting there. He's like standing hunched over. He's a tall dude. He's like taller than me. So he's like 6'5", 6'6", like hunched over this tiny table with little Nick sitting there watching it. And he's just drawing Pumpkinhead with a marker. And I don't know, it's just one of those things that, like, I want to be the cool uncle, but he definitely,
Right.
he won that moment. And that's
right.
And, right. He had known him from several years from other things, I guess, because they lived in the same area for a little bit. So he would draw her every now and then, not creepy, just every now and then he just do a headshot of her. And it's kind of interesting to see a cartoon of my sister-in-law years before I even met her. She was really young. So he was deeply involved and intertwined with a lot of people.
He was. He
Very
knew
much,
everybody.
very much.
So Jason Knight, who also knew David really well, says this about him about his Howard the Duck with the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is a great one, Jason. I agree. Yeah.
100%. I remember that. Oh my gosh.
He was so excited about it. And then we realized, because I was in his apartment, we realized, you do know that the fist is backwards, right? No. Like, I'm sorry, I'm an ass.
He got the other gauntlet that goes on the other hand.
What's the other one?
It's the gauntlet. Nobody can say anything.
Yeah. Throw a few more things up here, and then we'll wrap up our show. I love this one. This is such a really cool piece. And all she's doing is sitting there, but the fact that it's in the forest with the bow, I always thought that was a really amazing picture. This one from VisionCon, which I've got that autograph somewhere, but I couldn't find it because I'm like, I got him to sign it. Where did I put that thing? That one's a really good picture.
Yep.
Yeah, that's one of his classics.
Yes, it is.
100%.
Yes, it is. This one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then I forget who gave me this one. It may have been Elena there. This one right here with
yes.
I'm like, that is so fun.
With that Mercy, he also did a May, I think, or a Mai, and it was incredible. He had prints. He ran out of prints like first day of cons. With the Overwatch stuff. He did that.
Yep.
He was he had the perfect hand for those characters.
Yes, so much so.
All right, guys. Anything else we want to talk about with David? Because I'm open to staying as long as we want and talk further. But
well, I know, like we were talking about getting together. I know Christy is doing something on his birthday, May 20th. Yes. There's a gathering being done down their way. So something is in the works.
Yes, there is.
Like Springfield Boathouse.
Yes, that's right.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We will be, as soon as Christy's got everything solidified, we will be posting stuff about that being an upcoming event to celebrate David. So we will definitely do that here on Geeky Cool and get that information out to everybody. But yeah, thank you, Tom, for reminding us about that.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm gonna be able to get down there, but
it's a little ways for you there.
It's a drive. Yeah, I
trying to pull something together for him.
I talked to Christy because I told her I was going to be down St. Louis way for the con.
Yeah.
And I told her that I was going to see if I could take an extra day either before or after and just swing down. But yeah, if I can't get down to the May 20th thing, everybody have a good time. She's you're not required, but you are requested to cosplay. They have all the cosplay stuff. So do your damnedest and have a good time.
Right on, man. Well, Larry, I think it's awesome that you pulled something together so quickly and
absolutely
gathered, because throwing so many people into a chat and organizing it, and schedules are weird. People are weird. The world is weird, and I don't know. It's awesome that you were able to spin this so quickly.
Well, thank you. I tried. I wanted to do it last week, but then I kind of forgot my son's birthday was on Tuesday last week, and he wouldn't have enjoyed that. My daughter doesn't let me forget that I spent her 17th birthday at Planet Comic Con in Kansas City, because in my head the February 16th to 18th did not register February 17th as my daughter's birthday in my head. And so I get that. Now, where does 17 fall again?
You didn't even
I know. Her?
Yeah.
Like you could have brought her to the con.
Well, I would have. And actually, I had in prior years because she was really into it. At that point, she had given up kind of her geeky ways and became a cheerleader and everything else. She wasn't really interested in going that year. And she was, so she has to give Dad a hard time still, and she's 21 now. So yeah. So that I'm like, this is going to live on forever, isn't it? Yes, it is.
Yes.
Like, okay, as long as you tell the story at my funeral or whatever. And I've already told her I want my funeral to be a Viking funeral. So one of them is learn how to fire an arrow.
Right. Well, last year, my wife's birthday we took Kaiju to Wichita, Kansas. She didn't go. But I was like, that is her birthday. And whenever we were deciding to go, and I hear her from the other room, it's okay. All right. So she doesn't give me hell or anything for it. But yeah, we totally went to Wichita on her birthday.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, she's very supportive.
Yes, she is.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're going to wrap up here. And something we do here on the end of our show is kind of go through a list of our friends and just kind of quickly give shout outs to other cool people in this area doing similar things to what we do. So just to give a shout out, of course, we had Keith on earlier, Keith and Gary at Pop Culture Minefield. You guys can check those out. We do try to keep Geeky Cool and all of our stuff to be PG-13 just because I want kids to be able to check it out. They're not so much. Gary's got quite a mouth, but we love Gary. We love Keith. And if you're an adult or if your kids can handle it, because some kids at 9 years old can handle all the cursing, some kids cannot. But check it out if they can handle it. Keith also has his own show over on Keith Chimes In on, and of course, my favorite name for a YouTube series is the Fat Steven Seagal Show at 3 p.m. on Mondays, where they're talking Babylon 5. We've got friends in Branson, the Nerd Informants, and they do all sorts of movie reviews and do all sorts of cool stuff there. They also have a Facebook site that Nerd Informants Beyond, where you can post cool stuff and check stuff out there. Tom, if you're interested in that, feel free to make sure you drop in there anytime you got a comic come out. Sure. Because that's a really good central place to be able to get that message out. I know I try to shout it out when I see you've got a Kickstarter going on because I love your stuff. We also have our friends from the OzPod gals. These two gals from OzCon, which I'm going to in a week and a half, they run their own little show. And these two ladies are amazing and funny, and they're worth checking out. We've got our friends over at the Fanatics and the Fan on YouTube, and so you guys can check them out. They've got a lot of cool stuff. And one of our partners that we partner with is Scallywag Productions over on YouTube. Spoo is finally getting his health back in order, so hopefully videos will start coming back up.
Awesome.
And of course, he's had this whole getting married in OzCon thing going on.
Right.
Him and AJ. So we've got two people that we work with quite a bit. Tom are getting married at a convention in a week and a half. So
I had friends get married at San Diego Comic-Con.
That would be
amazing.
Amazing place to do it. Yeah. This is a much smaller convention, but
they had
that's cool.
Stormtroopers walking her down the aisle.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right if you go out to San Diego Comic-Con, in the back by the harbor, there's a big, I don't know, stairs where you can sit, and they did it right down there on the last day of San Diego Comic-Con.
That's cool.
That is awesome. Well, that's a dream. That's cool. So, and of course, we've got my site, GeekyKOOL.com, where we try to keep up on all the news, write articles, several writers writing articles for us. Check it out, guys. And of course, our podcast that we do every week is on there, and you guys can check that out and check out our YouTube channel with all the podcasts and everything else we're doing. Hopefully, soon we'll have an announcement of another show coming to our network, but for right now, we've just have the one. So thank you guys again. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Elena, for joining us again. And we couldn't have done this without you, because you and David were partners on that first episode. Thank you, Nate, my friend, my buddy. Love you. Thank you so much for joining us and remembering. And Tom, it's always a pleasure. I don't know you as well as I'd like to, just because I think you're such a cool dude, and anybody that writes comics for a living, I think is so cool. So, man, I've always looked up to you. Think your comics are amazing. Thank you for your time with David and for coming on and talking about him. I appreciate it, man.
My pleasure. I'm glad we got to do it.
Absolutely.
Me too. All right, guys. Thank you all for watching. We'll be back next week. I think we're moving to 7:00 next week instead of 6:30 Central Time. Stay geeky, and we'll talk to you next time.